PCR පරීක්ෂාව වාහනේ සිටම නවලෝක drive through PCR 0115
It takes 26 hours for all time zones to reach the new year. The Pacific island nation of Samoa and Kiribati were the first places in the world to welcome 2021, leaving behind a year which was marked by the COVID-19 pandemic and its effect on society. They celebrated the end of 2020 at 3:30 p.m. Sri Lankan time yesterday. In the small island of Samoa, only 2 cases of COVID-19 were reported, and by the dawn of the new year, there were no infected people in the islands. Meanwhile, at New Zealand's Chatham Islands, the midnight hit its nearly 700 inhabitants, just 15 minutes after Samoa and Kiribati, making it the second earliest place on Earth. However, the first major city to welcome the new year was Auckland in New Zealand at 11 GMT, along with Fiji, Tonga and parts of Antarctica. Sydney was next in line for the New Year festivities and the firework display over the city's harbour, which is renowned across the world as one to watch. A fresh outbreak of COVID-19 has forced the 1 million Sydney residents who usually pack the area around the harbour to watch the spectacle on television. Following on from Oceania, Taiwan was one of the first countries in Asia to go into 2021, and the country did so with a fireworks extravaganza in Taipei. Large crowds took to the streets in the central Chinese city of Wuhan, celebrating the arrival of 2021 after a year marred by a deadly pandemic that killed thousands there. In the United Arab Emirates, masked crowds gathered along the Jumeirah beach and around downtown Dubai to watch the fireworks display, the Emirates' most famous landmark, the Burj Khalifa. In Paris, traditional fireworks centering the Eiffel Tower and the Arc de Triomphe did not take place yesterday. Police controls were in place across France to make sure everyone stuck to the curfew in order to control the spread of COVID-19. The New Year curfew came into effect on New Year's Eve. France has the highest COVID-19 cases count in Western Europe and the 5th largest in the world. Big Ben struck midnight as London welcomed the first year apart from Europe since 1972. There were largely empty streets in London where a highly contagious variant of the virus is rampaging and most people are under strict restrictions. However, fireworks were seen welcoming the new year.
Happy New Year for all the inhabitants of planet Earth.
The worst hit country due to the pandemic, the United States too celebrated the New Year at its iconic Times Square.
What a wonderful world.
In India, millions ushered in the new year with subdued celebrations at home because of night curfews, a ban on beach parties and restrictions on movement in major cities and towns after the new, more contagious variant of the coronavirus reached the country. Incidents of disregarding health and safety measures were also reported by the Indian media. Meanwhile, in Sri Lanka, the dawn of the new year was welcomed under health and safety guidelines. Buddhists gathered at temples across the island to engage in religious observances. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa and many other politicians participated in religious ceremonies at the sacred site of Katharagama yesterday. Devotees also visited the temple of the Sacred Tooth relic in Kandy this morning and engaged in religious observances. People joined in worshipping the Kalutara Bodhi too in accordance with COVID-19 health guidelines. The Kalaniya Temple and the Gangarama Temple in Colombo were also visited by devotees in marking the arrival of the new year. The Christian community too engaged in religious observances at churches across the country with the dawn of the new year. Meanwhile, a Pirit chanting ceremony was worked off throughout the night to invoke blessings upon people for the new year. An alms-giving ceremony too was held at the Sinigama Devalaya this morning to mark the beginning of the new year.